Senteney. In 2014, I ran in the Republican primary for Wyoming's only seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Today, I am announcing that I will again be running for that honor. For nearly 20 years, I have been a student of politics, the Constitution, and the effects it has on each and every one of us. I believe we need representatives in our nation's capital that truly represent hardworking individuals like you. As we look toward the future of our great nation and our great state, I would love to be able to tell our children and grandchildren that we work together to ensure that they have a bright future ahead. A future where we see the national debt begin to shrink. A future where careers are abundant. And a future where we can come together as Americans and fix our nation's woes. I've decided to run because I believe we need blue-collar voices in Washington. I believe that many of the elected officials in our nation's capital have forgotten who they work for. The current culture in Washington is to ignore our voices, and money is king. Lobbyists are writing many of the current bills in both houses, and the most frustrating part of this culture is that we, the people, have been silenced while Main Street small businesses are disappearing and our infrastructure is crumbling at an astonishing rate. Not one individual corporation has been held accountable for causing the greatest recession since the early 20th century. And worse, many of them were rewarded with bailouts and subsidies. Many of the current politicians in Washington don't hold true to their oath of office and frequently support legislation which contradicts our Constitution. As you sit and watch this, members of both parties in both houses are working to fast-track trade agreements, such as the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a piece of legislation that will cost this nation's workforce millions of jobs. I am running because I cannot stand by and let our fellow Americans be hung out to dry, all in favor of cheap labor. When I am elected, I will work to stop job-killing legislation like this from passing. It was President Dwight D. Eisenhower that said, "The spirit of a man is more important than mere physical strength, and the spiritual fiber of a nation more than its blood." We are a nation of innovators. Historically, we have inspired many of today's industrial and technological advances. When we work together, we thrive as a nation. We thrive as Americans, and we thrive as Wyomingites. I believe that it is time we start electing people like myself who will stand up for the middle class, not an individual who sides with special interest groups in the name of donations or convincing. I have three major pieces of legislation in mind which I would like to propose. I would like to introduce the first, called the 2016 Invest in America Act. It would require all federal agencies to transition to only U.S. goods and services. It would also require that all agencies will only use U.S. contractors for all government building and service projects. This transition shall take no longer than 10 years. I believe that our tax dollars should only be spent right here at home. Second, no work equals no pay. Currently, most members of Congress make a little more than $174,000 a year, regardless of how many days they work. This piece of legislation would state that members of both houses will only receive compensation for days they are in a working session, including committee meetings. They will receive a flat rate of $1,000 per day. In 2013, Congress was in session for 126 days. And in 2014, they were only in session for 113 days. Also included in this bill will be a provision that any salary increases for the Congress will be put on the general election ballot and voted for by the citizens during presidential election years. Third, I will work with other members of the House to create a constitutional amendment creating term limits for members of Congress. One can only serve no more than 3 total terms in the U.S. House and no more than 2 total terms in the U.S. Senate. In conclusion, I am running because I love our nation, I love our state, and I love my daughters whose future I am concerned about. After all, what kind of nation do you want to leave our children? I am running because you deserve to truly be represented. Thank you for watching, and God bless the United States, and God bless the great state of Wyoming.